Hello, this is David Caldecott. This is my novel, Time Not Here. We are on chapter 22. I've been reading it out from start to finish. Forgive me for my video editing quality, forgive me for my writing quality, and I hope that you enjoy the story nonetheless. Daniel is working a busy Saturday lunchtime with Peaches and a few others. The day is fun. Customers are in a good mood and open to chat. Staff are chirpy and efficient. Food comes out on time and without too many overcooked steaks. As the peak dies down, Daniel goes behind the bar to pour himself a coffee. Peaches runs over with a cheeky smile. "What do you think about table 41? Mass murdering cult leader or what?" She laughs and nods her head towards the table, directing Daniel's gaze to a solo diner. Daniel watches him for a moment, sitting upright with his hands relaxed on the table in front of him, his gaze slowly moving around the restaurant, from tables around him to the ceiling fans, all seeming to fascinate him. He looks peaceful and calm as he watches the theater of restaurant service unfold before him. "He looks really chilled," Daniel says as he wonders why she had correlated this with cult leader. "He's so creepy though. You'll know what I mean when you talk to him. I sat him down just now, and he was just weird." Daniel puts his coffee down and walks to the table. When he arrives, he opens in the usual way. "Hello, sir. Can I get you a drink?" The man looks up and smiles a wide smile. "Yes, please. Some tap water would be great." Words are spoken with a calmness that is by now familiar. Celeste, Joseph, Magda, all of Daniel's new Kimber brothers and sisters had those same eyes. Even he did now. He returns to the bar to find Peaches looking eagerly at him. "See what I mean?" He's fine, really relaxed, but nothing creepy there. She's confused. The tap water is ready, giving Daniel another opportunity to speak to the strange man. His curiosity more powerful than his fear of coming across as weird, Daniel asks a direct question as he sets the water down. "Forgive me, sir, but do you meditate?" The man smiles and looks up. "Yes, I do. Why do you ask?" "Well, you look like you're being very mindful of the room and seem very zen. I recently discovered the value of being present, so I guess I'm picking up the same thing in you." "I actually just came from a 3-hour meditation session. Here," he gives him a business card with the name of a nearby meditation workshop. Daniel laughs as he studies the card. "No wonder you're so chilled." He takes his order, returns to the bar, and puts the order through the till with a smile on his face. Peaches looks weary and is now frowning. "He meditates," Daniel shares to ease her mind. "That's why he looks so chilled out. He gave me this card." She looks at the card. "Right." Daniel pauses and locks eyes with her. "Left." After another week of texting serenity, Daniel had gotten to know quite a bit about the young lady. She comes from a small town in the east of England where she'd been educated at a posh private school, which he imagines will give her a delightful accent, and is a makeup artist by trade. She'd worked on a few blockbuster movies, but had moved to Glastonbury and is now working in the nearby shopping village to build up some corporate experience. Her days are spent helping other women to feel beautiful, recommending mascaras that best suit their lashes, choosing foundations that complement their skin tone, finding and highlighting their best features, while being sure to compliment them in the process. She had started down this path as early as high school, and she even decided that makeup artistry was what she wanted to do, tirelessly working evenings and weekends to save up for the expensive courses that she'd need. During an early conversation, she tells him that helping women to feel better about their appearance gives her a strong feeling of satisfaction and pleasure. The irony, of course, is that she feels beautiful so infrequently. Perhaps, Daniel wonders, she's drawn to drawn faces precisely because she dislikes her own. How many others engage in the same thing, he wonders. Does the tax accountant care so deeply about her ability to control her financial life that she's driven to help others to do so? Does the writer so wish to prove to himself that his thoughts are of value that he spends years crafting elaborate narratives to share those thoughts and finally validate their meaning? Probably. Such is the human condition. We strive to overcome our baggage, placed upon our shoulders by oppressive parents, bad teachers, mouse-murdering classmates, or appearance-based bullying in school. The harder we strive to validate our existence, the more we feel we're getting somewhere. The more we anchor our worth in external circumstances, say the work we do, the easier it is to cope with the pain we hold inside. But the harder it is to enjoy those circumstances for what they are. If everyone took Kimber, Daniel asks himself, would anyone still do work? Of course they would, he decides. But they wouldn't seek their self-worth from it. They would do it for the love of it. Inventors would still invent, poets would still rhyme, tribesmen would still dance for rain. Success, it now seems to him, comes not from blind perseverance, fighting to secure an ego's power, making decisions based on what others will think of it or how it will make them look better. No, real success comes from being at ease with the ego's existence, using it when it's needed, but making decisions from an authentic core, one that knows what we truly need, nothing, and directs us towards what we want instead. He hasn't told Serenity about Kimber. He assumes that Peaches would have told her something of it. First things first, he knows that he likes her. He knows she's attractive to him. It's time to go meet. Society is full of expected behaviors. Meet someone on Tinder, get coffee together a few times while continuing to look for other Tinderites. Decide you want to be exclusive, see each other once or twice a week for a few months, move in together maybe after a year or two, and then just keep seeing how it goes, etc., etc. Of course, in the old days, men would propose to women they'd just met and spend 40 years together, growing old and sharing in the magical journey of parenthood. Our hearts melt when we hear stories of World War II soldiers stationed in France who'd married the local barmaid within hours of meeting her. Yet now that kind of impulsivity is rejected by a modern culture of take it slow and make sure they're the one. Daniel was no longer living according to those expectations. To him, the desire to meet this girl is all he needs to make this journey worth it. Even if he's only going to be in the country for a few more weeks, if she isn't a good fit, he can just walk away and spend the day alone enjoying a town he's never seen. If she's a goddess, he will dive in and enjoy her as much as possible. He's content to ride the wave and see what shores it washes him up on. Are you really going to travel 5 hours across the country just to have sex with me? Daniel smiles as he reads Serenity's reply to his declaration that he wants to come meet her. No, he starts. I like you. It's a decent gamble that if I come down there, I might meet someone worth the trip. And if you're not that person, I'm happy to turn around and come home. No hard feelings. Am I planning on exploring you physically as well as conversationally? Yes, but that's not the reason I want to come down. Well, now I'm worrying that you'll get here and I'll be sick or something, filled with snot and puffed up eyes, and you'll feel like the journey was wasted, she replies a little later. And if that's the case, then we'll get some ice cream and I will pamper you with candles and honey lemon tea. Whatever happens, we'll deal with it. Take a deep breath and try not to imagine what's going to happen. You won't guess it right and you'll get yourself worked up over nothing. Trust me, all you need to ask yourself is this. Do I want Daniel to come and visit me? Yes, I do. They agree to meet the following Monday. Daniel looks into travel plans. Getting a train the whole distance is impossible as there's no train service in Glastonbury. Instead, he books a train to Bristol and uses the ride-sharing website he'd planned to use for France for the remaining hour or so drive. A poster on the site advertises a direct trip from Bristol to Glastonbury, so he sends a message and books a ride with a student called, oddly enough, Daniel. The next morning, as he's setting up the furniture in the restaurant, Peaches trots over to him and asks how things have been going with Serenity. You should totally go see her, she says loudly. I am. I'm going down next week. Peaches is taken by surprise. Wow, okay, well, have fun. She smiles widely with her mouth, yet shows no wrinkling around the eyes. Trademark of the fake smile. By the end of the lunchtime rush, Daniel had totaled a tidy £40 in cash tips, and another £30 in credit card tips. The minimum wage that servers can earn becomes somewhat insignificant on shifts like this, the shifts where Daniel is alert, engaged, sociable, and at ease with himself. He gets changed and makes his way to his favorite hippie coffee shop, where he relaxes after the busy shift with an exotic tea and an ebook about the history of the global financial system. He had been coming here a lot lately, hoping to run into Celeste, but glad that she must be busy with her new fiancé. He receives a text from Serenity. So I don't want to freak you out, but I just got a call from Peaches. She was saying that I shouldn't meet you, that for all I know you might be a crazy murderer, and that it's irresponsible for me to have you in my house when I know so little about you. It knocks him back. What? Daniel refrains from replying straight away. He needs to think about this. He picks up his things and walks home, reminding himself that he can think about this complication when he gets home and is sat with his journal, but that right now, he's walking. And York is a fascinating city to walk through. There are a few possibilities, he decides, after a few minutes mulling it over with a mug of tea in the incensed air of his living room. They stem from a single question. Did Peaches actually make the call? If she didn't, then Daniel is facing a situation whereby Serenity is pretending that Peaches is trying to talk her out of it for unknown reasons. It could be that she's feeling anxious and wants Daniel to convince her that he isn't dangerous. Or it could be that she wants to test how serious he is about coming, to make sure he isn't going to stand her up and leave her feeling foolish. It could even be a weird psychological disorder where she had hallucinated the call with Peaches and firmly believes that her friend had advised her against the meeting. None of those, though, seemed credible, given what he already knows about her. If she's mentally ill, it's unlikely she'd have a successful career, and if she's lying, he could easily check by asking Peaches, which is too easy to do. She'd never get away with it. If Peaches had made the call, then it's simpler to understand. And of course, Occam's razor states that the simplest solution is usually the correct solution. Peaches befriended Serenity at their mutual workplace about a year before. The way she talks about Serenity is the way that a high school kid talks about his crush, idealizing her beauty and wit, joking about her being a dark horse. Perhaps she made the call because she wanted Serenity for herself. But then why did she make the introduction? Peaches knew about his plans to travel to France long before she had ever mentioned Serenity. She knew he would be leaving the country, so may have assumed he'd never actually meet up with Serenity. Now that he is, she had panicked and tried to stop it by spreading doubts about him. This question is difficult to answer and takes a good hour of reflection for Daniel to feel like he understands. It comes in the form of a narrative. Peaches meets Serenity. Peaches likes Serenity. Peaches flirts with Serenity and showers her with compliments, but Serenity is straight, so Peaches gets no further than the friend zone. Peaches moves away and loses touch with Serenity. Peaches meets a man who's about to go traveling. Peaches uses this man to play games with Serenity by encouraging them to talk and build Serenity's hopes up, knowing that he was about to leave the country. Serenity is disappointed and disenfranchised with men. Peaches swoops in to the rescue and starts a romance. Of course, it could be that she was genuinely concerned about the well-being of her friend. But Daniel had given her no reason to suspect that he was dangerous, immoral, or with any ill intent towards Serenity, or anybody else for that matter. As far as he's aware, he'd only shown Peaches kindness and warmth to her and everyone around, in a way that can't have been misconstrued, unless she was seeing him the same way that she saw the meditating customer, who gave her the cult leader vibes. No closer to the real answer, he thinks. He picks up the phone and dials Serenity's number. The phone rings a few times before a soft and chirpy voice answers. Hello? Hello, Serenity, Daniel says with a smile on his face. Already he's fallen in love with her. Already he's fallen in love with her voice. Her posh accent is noticeable, even in the single word she'd spoken. It's soft, upbeat, and tonal, a far cry from the dreary and defeatist tones of most of the people he works with. Hello, Daniel. So your text was interesting. I didn't think that the first time I heard your voice would be a conversation where I have to convince you I'm not some kind of axe murderer, but I suppose I have Peaches to thank for that. She laughs, revealing in an instant how she feels about him. This is good, he thinks. He didn't want to have to defend his honor, and it looks like he doesn't have to. All he needs to do is help Serenity figure out what's going on. I'm really confused, because Peaches introduced us, and now she's shouting at me down the phone, saying that I'm an idiot for meeting you, as if you're a lunatic. Why do you think she did that? Daniel asks. I really don't know. I guess she's being overly protective. She does not sound convinced of that theory. So if we'd met in a bar somewhere and I was coming to visit you, do you think she would have freaked out so much? I can't imagine so. Well, did she say anything about me that she found disturbing? He asks with a laugh. No, she only had great things to say about you until today. And what did she use as evidence of my madness in her call with you today? Well, she said you were going traveling soon, so it was the perfect time to murder someone. Jesus. Okay, what else? She said that you deleted your Facebook account and that was really suspicious. Okay, what else? That's about it. She didn't really say anything more about you, just how it was irresponsible to invite someone you don't know to stay with you. Do you think that who I am is less important than the principle itself? To not meet a stranger like that? To her, I mean. Maybe. Daniel thinks for a moment while taking a few steady breaths. So I have some theories about what might be going on, but first I want to ask you, do you think that I'm a crazy person who's gonna hurt you when I get there? She didn't hesitate. No, you seem really nice. You're very different to boys I've dated before. Like, obviously, I'm just going off the texting so far, but you aren't afraid to say what you want. You're direct and honest with how you feel about things. That's unusual, but it's really refreshing. Thank you. He takes a deep breath and enjoys the compliment. I work hard on my own demons so that I can live a happier life and be good to the people around me. I would never dream of hurting another human being, and the people who know me would say the same. And look, when I left Facebook, I made a post with 10 reasons why I was leaving. You can read them. You'll see exactly why I stopped using it. When I'm on social media, I focus more on uploading a cool picture of a mountain rather than fully experiencing the mountain. I left Facebook to help me become more present in the real life in front of me. Yeah, and I really respect that. I think too many people care about what happens on Facebook. As for traveling, I was going traveling before she'd mentioned you. So if I was planning on murdering you and then fleeing the country, it would be weird to book the flight before I'd even met the person I'm supposedly killing. As he spoke, he was aware that simply by saying those words, he might be igniting a fear response in her, but hopes that his jovial tone and humor will negate it. She laughs. So what's your big theory then? Daniel tells her the possibilities he'd come up with. Well, she says, if I'd made it all up, you could just ask Peaches and prove it. Plus, that's a really weird thing to do. I'm weird, but I'm not that weird. Daniel laughs. I'll take your word for it. I don't think she's doing it because she's in love with me or something, but I agree that she's freaked herself out over nothing. So, do you still want me to come down? He asks. Yes, I really do. I really like your voice, and I want to meet you in real life. Before he knows it, they've talked for another 3 hours, covering an overview of his last year, her career decisions and family past, even what she was wearing. The conversation is easy, fun, and enjoyable. He doesn't mention Lathe. He isn't telling anyone about that nightmare anymore. Out of mind, out of sight. Right? When he next sees Peaches, he says nothing about the phone call with Serenity and decides not to confront her about her behind-the-scenes discouragement. He thinks about Serenity, enjoys remembering their conversation and feeling how much he loves her voice while he's getting changed into his uniform. What if they're playing a prank on you? The thought appeared out of nowhere, accompanied by a slumping of his posture and a quickening of his breath. He let the thought continue. You don't know this girl. She could be anyone. You don't know what she's saying to Peaches or what their plan is. True, he thought, but those things are unknown. So what? You're going to get there and find out that it was a big prank, put on by her and Peaches to humiliate you. Peaches hated that you talked about masculinity, so they're gonna mess with you and make you doubt yourself. He takes out a pen and starts writing, confronting the thoughts as they come. If she's playing a prank on me, which is something I have no evidence for, then who fucking cares? I'm the gorilla. I'll handle it, whatever happens. The doubter within him returns to the control panel. But you don't know who she is. Exactly. That's why I'm going to meet her, to decide for myself what I think about her. I'm the one making the decisions. I'm the only one I can control. If things are difficult, then I will respond in the way that seems right in that moment. Worrying about it now will not help me then. He takes a deep breath and relaxes into the rest of the shift. Later, he walks home and spends the evening lying on the sofa with his eyes closed, listening to Bob Marley singing about the plight of the Rasta, as well as his own account of present moment living. Life is one big road with lots of signs. So when you're riding through the ruts, don't you complicate your mind. Flee from hate, mischief, and jealousy. Don't bury your thoughts. Put your vision to reality, yeah? The next morning, Daniel rereads his notes about serenity. They are the fearful ramblings of an overactive mind. They are not altogether bad thoughts, he considers. They came from his subconscious, so while they were not real in the sense that serenity might actually have thought any of those things, they had come from him. They were thoughts that were trying to protect him from a possible danger. The danger wasn't real, but the protective thoughts were. This is what the mind does, he realizes, when it detects danger. It tries to talk you into believing it because it wants to protect you. As he gets dressed, he feels a sense that he could have reacted very differently to all that paranoia last night. If he had, he would have missed out on an opportunity to start a wonderful relationship. Patting himself on the back, he starts choosing the shirts he'll take with him when he finally meets Serenity. Hi, Daniel. This is Daniel. I'm at the train station. The rideshare is late. Arriving in Bristol after a 4-hour train journey, Daniel has brought himself a cup of tea and patiently waited for his ride outside, admiring the architecture and enormous clock tower that looms over the main entrance of the station. He sees the driver and climbs into the car. It's a decrepit banger from the mid-90s that hasn't been cared for, but at a mere £6 for the hour-long car journey, he isn't choosy. You pick the music, bro. I'm always interested in other people's music, declares the driver as he pulls away. Daniel plays Bonobo, a British group known for relaxing beats with exotic influences. This is really chill, the student says. My stuff is usually heavy rock. Lots more like this if you want it. He hits the shuffle button on his playlist and sits back to enjoy the ride. He turns to the young driver to his right and watches him for a few minutes as he navigates onto the main road and out of the city traffic. He's an impatient driver, often cursing other drivers when they cross lanes too quickly for his liking. Meanwhile, he continues to accelerate hard, brake hard, and get far too close behind cars he thinks are going too slow. So, what's your story? Daniel asks his driver, curious. I'm doing a degree in business right now, up in Durham. I came to Bristol to go to a concert with a friend of mine, she's great, and now I'm heading back to my parents' house in Glastonbury to spend a few nights and wash my clothes. That's cool. So what year are you at uni? Second, it's going really well, but I'm not sure what to do next year. You know, we're supposed to do a year in industry, but I have no idea what kind of industry I want to go for. That's fine. I'm sure you'll figure it out. I guess so. He shifts gears clumsily, lets out a sigh and continues. Not really sure what I'm doing, to be honest. He laughs and shrugs his shoulders. What about you? I'm a physics graduate, a current waiter and aspiring entrepreneur. I ran my own business a few years ago and now I'm taking a break from it all while I think about what I'm doing next. I'm actually going traveling in a month, so mostly to help me figure it out. Sounds like we're in the same boat. Aren't we all? They chat as they cruise through the Somerset countryside. Daniel holds his tongue about some of the more unusual aspects of his past, but speaks freely about serenity, his experience with living in the moment and overcoming the challenges of manhood. This leads to a discussion about the driver's most recent girlfriend. I'm not sure what happened, you know? We had this great connection. I'd spend all day thinking about her and always just getting her little gifts and taking her out. But we just drifted, and the more I tried to show her that I loved her, the more I pushed her away. He spoke with a jovial tone, as if he was describing the plot to a movie he'd seen rather than the very real story of his own life. Bringing the tone back to real, Daniel asked him a question. Do you think you're able to truly love someone if you don't know yourself? He looks confused and pauses for a moment. What? He laughs. Well, you've been talking about how you don't know what you want from life. To me, it's difficult to be in a relationship with somebody else if you haven't yet worked on your relationship with yourself. Maybe what you need is to make peace with yourself. I guess so. He gives him the look that he would have given a few months ago, skeptical and concerned that the person sat next to him was a crazy person who believed in ghosts and aliens and government conspiracies orchestrated by reptiles. You sound like my parents, he laughs. The irony of their shared name is not lost on Daniel. This boy is the embodiment of himself right before his rite of passage, confused and lost about how to grow up, unable to hold down a relationship, fleeting from one idea to the next while ignoring the opportunities in this present moment. In this moment, Daniel the younger is sharing his father's car with a man 5 years his senior, whose own adult life was full of failures and successes that contain lessons for better living. Yet the boy's spending his time talking about himself. And not in a here's what I've learned kind of way, more like a here's another thing that went wrong. He feels sorry for him. If he wasn't so self-involved, then he might just learn something from an older and wiser man. He remembers how many times he had been in meetings with executives and older men, talking about his own life and problems, ignoring the fact that they were potentially in possession of a truth about the world that would hasten his journey to fulfillment merely through the act of hearing it. He will not ignore the wisdom of older men anymore, he decides. Unless, of course, they're a psychopath. Thank you for listening. That was chapter 22. We have 3 more chapters to go. Let's do it. Stay with me. Stay with me. See you next time. Take care of yourself. Take care of your family. Bye-bye.